When it comes to building wealth, one of the most underestimated skills is the ability to think across multiple disciplines. 80s. Most people approach problems through a narrow lens. 80s. Relying solely on the knowledge they already have or the experience they are most comfortable with. 80s. They might be excellent at understanding finance, but ignore the lessons from psychology. 80s. Or they might know a lot about technology, but fail to see historical patterns. 80s. True success, both in life and investing, comes from the ability to draw insights from many areas and integrate them into a cohesive understanding of the world. 80s. Consider the way the human mind works. We are prone to biases, often making decisions based on emotion rather than reason. 80s. Understanding these biases requires knowledge from psychology, which can illuminate why people overact to short-term market fluctuations. 80s. Follow herd behavior or misjudge risk. By learning how the mind functions and recognizing these tendencies in ourselves and others, 80s, we gain a powerful advantage. This advantage is not theoretical. It affects every real-world decision. 80s. From investing to negotiating to choosing partners in business, those who fail to account for human nature often pay a hidden cost, even if they appear to be smart on the surface. History is another critical lens. Patterns in human behavior, economies, 80s, and societies often repeat, even if the details differ. By studying history, one can anticipate the potential consequences of policies. 80s. Market cycles and social trends. Wealthy and wise individuals don't guess blindly. 80s. They rely on lessons learned by others who navigated similar circumstances. For example, 80s. Understanding how markets responded to past recessions or technological shifts can guide better investment decisions. 80s. Helping one avoid catastrophic mistakes while identifying opportunities that others overlook. 80s. Mathematics and statistics provide yet another essential framework. Compounding probabilities. 80s. And risk assessment are mathematical truths that remain constant regardless of human opinion. 80s. Understanding these principles allows a person to quantify risk, evaluate expected returns. 80s. And make decisions grounded in reality rather than hope. Without this knowledge, decisions often devolve into guesswork. 80s. Leaving outcomes largely to chance. But multidisciplinary thinking is not just about accumulating knowledge. It is about synthesizing it. 80s. The challenge lies in seeing the connections between seemingly unrelated fields. 80s. A lesson from biology about survival strategies might offer insight into business competition. A psychological principle about motivation might improve negotiation or leadership. 80s. A historical pattern might reveal the potential trajectory of a new technology. 80s. Those who can connect these dots gain a perspective that is not only broader but also deeper. 80s. Allowing them to make decisions that others cannot even imagine. Furthermore, multidisciplinary thinking fosters creativity. When you draw from multiple sources, your problem-solving approach becomes more flexible. 80s. You are no longer constrained by conventional wisdom or the boundaries of a single discipline. Instead, 80s. You can approach challenges from different angles, find unconventional solutions, and seize opportunities others dismiss as irrelevant. 80s. In investing, this ability can be the difference between mediocre returns and extraordinary gains. In life, these can differentiate a person who drifts from one opportunity to another from someone who systematically builds lasting success. Finally, 80s. Cultivating this mindset requires humility and curiosity. No one can master every field, but everyone can learn the principles that matter most. The 80s. Reading widely, observing carefully, and asking questions relentlessly are habits that pay compounding dividends over time. By exposing oneself to diverse ideas. 80s. A person gradually builds a latticework of mental models, a framework for understanding the world that is flexible, rigorous, and predictive. 80s. Those who fail to do so are often blind to the forces shaping their lives and investments, while those who succeed see the world as it truly is, rather than as they wish it to be. Do you want me to proceed with that? Absolutely. Let's expand the second key point. 80s. Prioritize rational thinking over emotions into a 600-word educational piece in the same style. 80s. One of the most important distinctions between those who accumulate lasting wealth and those who struggle is the ability to prioritize rational thinking over emotions. 80s. Human beings are naturally emotional creatures. We feel excitement when we perceive opportunity, fear when we sense risk. 80s. And envy when comparing ourselves to others. These emotions, while natural, 80s, can cloud judgment and lead to decisions that are detrimental in the long run. 80s. True financial and personal success comes from learning to recognize these emotional impulses and to act based on reason analysis. 80s. And disciplined thinking rather than momentary feelings. The world is full of examples where emotions undermine good judgment. 80s. Markets are volatile not because of changes in value alone, but because people react impulsively. 80s. They buy when prices are high out of greed and sell when prices are low out of fear. 80s. These reactions may provide short-term satisfaction or relief, but they rarely create sustainable wealth. 80s. Rational thinking requires one to pause, observe, and analyze rather than act on instinct. It means evaluating the underlying fundamentals of an investment, business, or life decision rather than succumbing to hype, rumor, 80s, or emotional pressure. Rational thinking also requires understanding the role of incentives and recognizing common psychological traps. People tend to follow the herd, believing that if everyone else is doing something, it must be the right choice. 80s. They may overestimate their own knowledge or allow confirmation bias to distort their perception of reality. By acknowledging these tendencies, 80s, individuals can create a mental framework that acts as a check against impulsive decisions. When the natural pull of emotion arises, 80s. This framework reminds a person to slow down, question assumptions, and seek objective evidence before acting. 80s. Another aspect of prioritizing rational thinking is the ability to delay gratification. 80s. Emotional impulses often drive people to seek immediate rewards. 80s. Whether through spending money on unnecessary luxuries or making speculative investments with high risk. Rational decision makers understand that wealth compounds over time and that patient, calculated actions yield better results than hasty. These emotionally driven ones, they focus on long-term outcomes. 80s. Considering the future consequences of each decision rather than the fleeting satisfaction of the present moment. 80s. This mindset extends beyond money into all areas of life. Relationships, career choices, 80s, and personal development all benefit from careful reasoning. Emotional reactions, while understandable, can lead to misjudgments. 80s. Strained relationships and missed opportunities. By cultivating rational thought, one can navigate challenges with clarity. 80s. Respond effectively to setbacks and consistently make choices that improve both financial standing and overall life satisfaction. 80s. Rational thinking does not mean ignoring intuition entirely. Rather, it means testing intuition against evidence, logic, and experience. 80s. A well-informed gut feeling is valuable, but it must be supported by facts and analysis. Emotional impulses that are unchecked, 80s, on the other hand, are unreliable and often harmful. 80s. The most successful individuals learn to distinguish between instinct that is informed and emotions that are misleading. 80s. They develop a disciplined approach to evaluating risks and opportunities, creating a systematic process that reduces the influence of mood, 80s, fear or greed on their decisions. Finally, prioritizing rational thinking requires self-awareness and honesty. It demands a willingness to admit mistakes, to question one's assumptions, and to accept that personal biases can distort judgment. 80s. By embracing this mindset, individuals position themselves to make consistently better choices over time. 80s. Rational thinking does not guarantee that every decision will succeed. 80s. but it dramatically increases the probability of favorable outcomes while minimizing unnecessary losses. Wealth, after all, 80s, is rarely the result of luck alone. It is the outcome of repeated, informed decisions made with a clear and disciplined mind. 80s. One of the biggest obstacles to long-term wealth is the tendency to increase spending as income rises, a phenomenon often called lifestyle inflation. Many people believe that earning more automatically means spending more. 80s. Upgrading to larger homes, more luxurious cars, and extravagant vacations. While there is nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of hard work, 80s, allowing expenses to rise in tandem with income undermines the ability to build true financial security. 80s. Wealth is not just about how much you earn, it is about how much you keep and how wisely you allocate what you save. 80s. Avoiding lifestyle inflation is a strategy that allows money to work for you rather than disappearing as quickly as it arrives. The principle is simple: live below your means, regardless of how much you earn. 80s. This does not mean deprivation or denying yourself occasional pleasures. It means maintaining a disciplined approach to spending. 80s. Ensuring that increases in income are channeled into productive uses like savings, investments, or education. 80s. Every dollar spent unnecessarily is a dollar that cannot compound over time, and compounding is the most powerful tool in wealth creation. 80s. Those who resist the urge to inflate their lifestyle early on create a foundation that allows wealth to grow steadily and reliably. 80s. Avoiding lifestyle inflation requires conscious awareness of spending habits. People often underestimate small. 80s. Recurring expenses because they seem insignificant at first. Upgrading a phone every year, eating out regularly at high-end restaurants. 80s. Or taking frequent luxury trips may feel normal, but these incremental expenses add up. 80s. Diverting resources from investments that could grow exponentially. 80s. By examining spending patterns critically and prioritizing long-term benefits over short-term satisfaction, these individuals maintain control over their financial trajectory. 80s. Another aspect of avoiding lifestyle inflation is understanding the psychological traps that lead to overspending. Social comparison is a major driver. Seeing peers with expensive cars, designer clothes, or lavish homes can create a sense of inadequacy. 80s. Prompting unnecessary expenditure. The wealthy, however, focus on their own goals rather than competing with others. 80s. They measure success not by appearances or temporary status, but by long-term security and freedom. 80s. Learning to resist the pressure to keep up is essential to preserving wealth. Moreover, 80s. Avoiding lifestyle inflation is not just about financial prudence. It cultivates mental clarity and freedom. 80s. When one spends less than they earn, they reduce stress, increase options, and gain control over their time and decisions. 80s. This disciplined approach allows for strategic investments in education, business opportunities, or assets that provide compounding returns. 80s. Each dollar saved is a seed for future growth, while dollars spent frivolously are opportunities lost. 80s. The concept also extends to career and life choices. Many people feel compelled to upgrade their lifestyle with every promotion or bonus. 80s. But a more measured approach provides flexibility and resilience. By resisting the urge to immediately match lifestyle to income, 80s, individuals maintain a buffer against unexpected challenges, economic downturns, or personal emergencies. Wealth, after all, 80s, is not just about accumulation, but about stability and the ability to act decisively when opportunities or risks arise. Finally, avoiding lifestyle inflation is a mindset cultivated over time. It requires patience, self-discipline, 80s, and a clear understanding of long-term goals. Each decision to live below one's means reinforces habits that compound as much as money itself. 80s. Over decades, these disciplined choices lead to financial independence, freedom to pursue meaningful projects, 80s, and the ability to create lasting wealth that extends beyond a single lifetime. By mastering the art of spending wisely, One ensures that income growth translates into true financial power rather than fleeting consumption. One of the most powerful habits that distinguishes those who achieve lasting wealth from those who struggle is a relentless commitment to learning and adapting. Knowledge is not static, and the world around us is constantly changing. Industries evolve, technologies advance. And economic landscapes shift in ways that can either create tremendous opportunities or unexpected risks. Those who accumulate wealth understand that the ability to learn, unlearn. And relearn is one of the most valuable assets a person can cultivate by continuously expanding knowledge and applying it thoughtfully. Individuals position themselves to make informed decisions that compound over time, just as money does. Learning is not limited to formal education or degrees. It is an ongoing process of observing, analyzing, and integrating new ideas from a wide range of disciplines. Reading books, studying history, analyzing business models, and paying attention to patterns in human behavior are all ways to enhance understanding. The person who constantly seeks knowledge develops a mental framework that allows them to see opportunities where others see only chaos. This framework, often called a lattice work of mental models, enables better judgment and more strategic decision making because it draws on insights from multiple fields, creating a deeper and more nuanced view of the world. Adaptation is the natural companion to continuous learning. Knowledge alone is not sufficient. One must also be willing to adjust strategies when circumstances change. Markets that were predictable yesterday may become volatile tomorrow. Technology that disrupted one industry can obsolete traditional approaches in another. Those who resist adapting often find that their previous successes do not carry forward and opportunities slip away. In contrast, individuals who combine learning with flexibility can anticipate trends, pivot when necessary, and capitalize on emerging possibilities. Turning change into an advantage rather than a threat. Another key aspect of learning continuously is the ability to learn from mistakes. Wealthy and wise individuals do not view errors as failures, but as essential feedback for improvement. Each misstep provides data that can refine strategies, highlight blind spots, and strengthen judgment for future decisions. By cultivating a mindset that embraces learning from experience rather than fearing it, a person develops resilience and the capacity to navigate uncertainty with confidence. This process of trial analysis, and adjustment accelerates growth in ways that following conventional paths alone cannot achieve. The habit of continuous learning also promotes humility. Recognizing that one does not know everything encourages curiosity and openness to new ideas. This humility allows individuals to seek advice from experts, collaborate effectively, and incorporate diverse perspectives into their decision-making. Wealthy people often credit much of their success to learning from others and remaining teachable. Understanding that pride or overconfidence can lead to costly mistakes. By valuing knowledge over ego, they gain a long-term advantage that compounds quietly over the years. Finally, the combination of learning and adapting creates a powerful multiplier effect. Knowledge accumulates like interest when applied consistently, and the ability to adjust ensures that this knowledge remains relevant and effective. Over time, small improvements in understanding and decision-making lead to exponential growth in wealth, influence, and personal capability. Those who neglect continuous learning stagnate, while those who embrace it create an enduring advantage that cannot easily be replicated. The process is gradual, often unnoticed day by day, but over decades it separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Providing the tools to navigate life and investments with insight, skill, and confidence. One of the most important lessons in building wealth is understanding that not all opportunities are created equal. In fact, Most opportunities are distractions designed to consume time, energy, and resources without delivering meaningful returns. 80s. The people who accumulate lasting wealth understand that success is not about chasing every potential gain, but about identifying and committing to high-quality opportunities that offer the greatest potential for long-term growth. 80s. Focusing on quality over quantity is a principle that applies not only to investments, but also to business ventures, career choices, 80s, and personal development. High-quality opportunities are characterized by durability, potential for compounding, and alignment with one's skills and understanding. In investing, this means looking for businesses with strong competitive advantages, clear management, and predictable cash flows rather than chasing speculative trends. In life and career, it means dedicating time to projects and relationships that provide sustainable value rather than those that offer only fleeting rewards or superficial recognition. 80s. By concentrating efforts on fewer but better opportunities, one can maximize the returns on both time and money. 80s. Rather than spreading resources thin and achieving mediocre results. 80s. Discerning high-quality opportunities requires careful analysis and patience. 80s. Impulsive decisions or excitement over popular trends often lead to subpar results. 80s. The most successful individuals spend significant time studying the underlying principles, patterns, and risks associated with each opportunity. 80s. They ask questions like, does this have long-term viability? Are the fundamentals strong? What are the hidden risks? 80s. By rigorously evaluating opportunities, they avoid costly mistakes and position themselves to capitalize when truly valuable options arise. 80s. Another essential aspect of focusing on quality is understanding the power of compounding. Just as money compounds when invested wisely, effort, 80s, knowledge, and strategic decisions compound over time when applied to high-quality endeavors. Spreading energy across too many mediocre pursuits dissipates this effect, producing little growth. 80s. By concentrating on select opportunities with high potential, the compounding effect magnifies results exponentially, turning small. 80s. Consistent actions into significant achievements over the long term. 80s. Focusing on high-quality opportunities also requires discipline in saying no. Many people are tempted to pursue opportunities that are flashy, 80s, trendy, or immediately gratifying, even if they do not align with long-term objectives. 80s. The ability to decline low-value options is as important as the ability to recognize valuable ones. 80s. Wealthy individuals understand that their time and resources are finite. 80s. Protecting them by being selective ensures that attention is directed toward endeavors that truly matter and produce lasting impact. 80s. This principle extends beyond finance into personal growth. Investing time in learning, building skills. 80s. And nurturing meaningful relationships can yield returns far beyond immediate gains. The value of high-quality knowledge, mentorship, and networks compounds over time, shaping decisions, opportunities, and outcomes. By consistently focusing on quality. 80s. Individuals not only enhance financial wealth, but also build intellectual, emotional, 80s, and social capital that strengthens their position in every aspect of life. Finally, 80s. Focusing on high-quality opportunities is not about avoiding risk entirely, but about understanding risk intelligently. It's high-quality opportunities often carry calculated risk, but that risk is mitigated by knowledge, preparation, and judgment. 80s. Those who pursue quantity over quality often take blind risks that can undermine progress. 80s. While those who invest selectively create environments where success is more predictable and growth is sustainable. By exercising patience. 80s. Careful evaluation and discernment, one positions themselves to achieve extraordinary results over time, building wealth that is resilient. 80s. Meaningful and enduring. One of the most overlooked yet essential habits for building lasting wealth is patience. 80s. In a world that constantly rewards speed, instant gratification, and reactionary behavior, The ability to wait, observe, 80s, and act deliberately can be the difference between fleeting gains and enduring success. True wealth is rarely created overnight, 80s. It is the product of long-term thinking, disciplined execution, and the steady accumulation of advantages over time, 80s. Those who allow impatience or impulsivity to drive their decisions often find themselves chasing trends, reacting to noise, 80s, and undermining their own potential for meaningful growth. Patience in wealth building begins with understanding the power of compounding, 80s. Just as money invested wisely grows over decades, skills, knowledge, and relationships also compound when nurtured consistently. Impulsive decisions disrupt this process. Selling investments too quickly, jumping from one project to another, 80s, or abandoning long-term plans in pursuit of immediate satisfaction prevents the compounding effect from taking hold, 80s. Those who succeed financially and personally are those who trust in the process, recognize the value of time, 80s, and avoid the temptation of shortcuts. Important decisions also requires emotional control. People are naturally inclined to react to which often leads to overpaying for opportunities or abandoning positions. Market fluctuations, sudden setbacks, and the public opinion can create a sense of urgency that is easily unwarranted. By cultivating patience, 80s, individuals develop the ability to remain calm, assess situations objectively, and make decisions based on facts rather than fleeting emotions. 80s. This self-discipline turns volatility into opportunity and risk into manageable variables rather than sources of panic or regret. 80s. Another aspect of patience is long-term planning. Wealthy individuals rarely base decisions on immediate results. 80s. They focus on the trajectory over years and even decades. Career moves, investments, and personal growth are approached with foresight, 80s, considering how today's choices will impact future outcomes. Impulsive actions, on the other hand, prioritize immediate reward, 80s, often at the expense of lasting value. The patient approach allows for careful research, strategic timing, and consistent execution. 80s, creating conditions where success is not random, but the result of deliberate effort compounded over time. 80s. Patience also enhances decision quality. When one allows time for reflection, analysis, and consultation, the likelihood of errors diminishes significantly. Impulsive decisions are often made under pressure, with incomplete information, 80s, or based on biased judgment. By waiting, gathering more data, considering multiple perspectives, one can choose options that are more robust and aligned with long-term. This habit of deliberate decision making builds confidence, reduces regret, and increases accountability culture. Ambitious patient fosters resilience. The path to wealth and success is rarely smooth. Challenges, setbacks, and delays are inevitable. Those who cultivate patience are able to navigate difficulties without being derailed by temporary obstacles. 80s. They see setbacks as learning opportunities, maintain focus on their objectives, 80s, and persevere through periods when immediate results are disappointing. Impulsive individuals, by contrast, 80s, often abandon their plans at the first sign of difficulty, losing both momentum and potential. Finally, 80s. The combination of patience and avoidance of impulsive decisions creates a compounding advantage that extends across every aspect of life. 80s. Financially, it allows investments to grow steadily and strategically. Personally, it builds stronger relationships. 80s. As careful thought leads to more meaningful interactions. Professionally, it produces superior outcomes. 80s. As deliberate planning and execution outperform rushed efforts. Over time, this disciplined approach becomes a self-reinforcing habit. 80s, the more patient one is, the better the decisions, and the better the decisions, the more one is rewarded, reinforcing the value of patience. 80s. Mastering the art of waiting and acting thoughtfully is, in essence, mastering the path to enduring wealth and success.